Hey Legion mains, before we start, I want to have a little conversation. Reasonably small YouTuber to overbearing collection of nerds. Why do you feel the need to announce that you main Legion? There are several different breeds of mains and several different kinds of people, but you guys seem to be the only ones that actively want me to know about it. Is it because behavior seems to whore out your character with every update, or is it because you enjoy the otherwise unattainable fantasy of running with sharp objects? Mull that over for a little bit because I have some catching up to do. The Legion was the third killer to be released within the first year content cycle. Then they had to release them again because the first time people kept leaving the game when they ran into them. That might imply a degree of power that was so overwhelming that it caused everyone to throw their toys in the sand to go home, but let me tell you, that was just the tip of the fucking iceberg. To briefly touch on the lore, the Legion is the name of a band of teenagers that were dragged into the game and hunt people down with the supernatural power of petty crime.
Oh, fuck you, psycho!
Yeah, fuck you!
I already spoke on how I feel this power is creatively bankrupt, but hey, fuck it, I'm gonna do it again. I'm not gonna ring the false advertising bell, but everyone that didn't play the PTB would probably have a much richer idea of what the power was in comparison to what we actually got. The teaser images imply some sort of mask swapping mechanic, the lore implies a group of people that run down survivors by outnumbering them, the trailer implies they masquerade as regular survivors, and the gameplay implies they spend all their time at Foot Locker. But that's not why I'm upset. I'm upset because the devs clearly had a much more interesting idea with this character, but likely had to scrap it at some point in development. At least that's what I assume. I mean, basing your character around the fact that the player is actually embodying several people is an awesome idea, but then maybe there was an earthquake or the janitor accidentally swept up a sticky note somewhere because the Legion's gameplay literally directly contradicts that fantasy. The Legion's power allows you to enter a frenzy with a slight speed boost while also enabling a special attack. You can vault over pallets and windows the same way that a survivor would, and striking someone leaves them with a lingering wound. This timer will make them fall over and die if it runs out, but that's only really for people that exclusively ate the stickers on fruit while growing up. The meter pauses when you run or begin to mend it, meaning that you can essentially run forever and endure this during a chase with no direct penalty to you. So all you've really done is give the survivors a 5-second interaction that they'll need to wait through. This isn't absolutely useless because hitting someone with Legion's ability also reveals the location of every nearby survivor, but it's about as exciting as you can imagine. You do have a few weaknesses though. First of all, you lose access to the ever-important scratch marks, and your elongated swing doesn't auto-lock onto survivors. I know that doesn't sound bad, but literally one miss and you've depleted all of your power meter, and to make things worse, Frank starts to have a fucking seizure. I get a lot of questions on avoiding spins, and this advice will be particularly important here since Legion gets destroyed by one small miss. If you don't know, spinning is when survivors do a fast 180 to fuck with your aim and buy themselves some time. To avoid this, you have two options. One, learn to predict it and hit them where you think they're going to be rather than where they are, or, and this is a bit more useful to newcomers, be patient, let them try to spin, and hold your breath while keeping your aim on them. Oftentimes, they'll fuck with themselves first. You do have one issue with Legion that other killers don't, and that's the fact that you have a time pressure based on how much power you have left. So, missing your attack means that you miss your chance to deal damage, lose all your remaining power, and go... This is probably the best segue into the Legion's add-ons that I'm gonna get. Legion falls into that same miserable hole that's shared by the Deathslinger because none of his add-ons actually make him stronger, they just prevent him from suffering from his weaknesses. Just in case you couldn't have picked up on my voice there or you're using the woefully inadequate closed captions, yes, I think that's pretty stupid. Most of the Legion's add-ons decrease the stun time you go through when ending the power, or they increase the range of your radar, blissfully unaware that survivors will already be legging it to Guarma the moment they see a deep wound icon appear under their friend's name. Plus, his purple ones are even more useless. Reduce the deep wound timer? Oh, you mean the one that pauses as long as Claudette holds down L1? Yeah, no thanks. The only really good add-on is the Legion button. With this, you inflict a broken status effect on the people you stab. But not the people you stab. No, that would be too nice. If you're able to chain your attack to someone else, then it'll inflict the broken status effect. You can also just double down on one survivor and strike them again if no one else is around. I'd also be kind of an asshole if I didn't mention the one good super rare add-on he has. The iridescent button makes your frenzy break pallets when you vault them and causes your heartbeat to be heard map-wide, allowing all of the Monto fans to fall into a lovely little dream where all of their meme builds are somewhat effective. Am I forgetting any other add-ons? No, I don't think I am. After all of this whining, you're probably wondering why the hell I put him in A tier in that one video whose shadow follows me everywhere I fucking go, so allow me to pull back on my character and give some kinder thoughts. The Legion is one of the few killers that can effectively juggle an entire team. Sure, if just one of them spin cycles their thumbsticks and you miss, you might as well stick your head in the ground and begin doing a generator yourself, but if you correctly hold the cards and don't swing at every opportunity, you can use the map information to attack everyone. Plus, I don't think people understand the value in leaving a survivor injured without chasing them. Not only do you leave someone in a weakened state to be picked off later, but you're also going to leave them desperately searching for their friends or a med kit. In that moment, their precious generator speed isn't their priority. Of course, if they have self-care, you're fucked, but my wisdom follows that of a magic 8-ball. Dead by Daylight turns into a big game of tug of war at the higher ranks. Your ability to down one survivor isn't as valuable as your power to keep survivors playing your game. Make them want to heal. Make them need to save Steve from the back basement hook, or find that item you slugged on the ground. By the way, I think one of the worst things they ever did to Legion was remove perk effects on his special attack. You used to be able to add time to the gate, drop your terror radius, or remove their flashlight from play with your power, but now you just have to make peace with your fucking buttons, loser. Hell, to bring back an earlier point, if you played Legion when he came out and then found inner peace on the top of a mountain or something, there's no way in hell you would recognize this Legion as the one of old. Old Legion was in the same basket as Nurse in the way that both were direct counters to the way that the game is played. Basically, to say that you couldn't pallet loop them. Old Legion's power was mechanically the same to what we have now, but not functionally. If you decided to stab someone again while in your feral frenzy, you would actually decrease their bleed out meter and you could whittle someone down by activating your power over and over again. So the goal, again like Nurse, was to try to break line of sight and lose them while their tracking abilities were weakened. The most basic form that this took was survivors crouching against windows and waiting for the Legion to go through them before going back through it themselves. I think the devs kind of jumped a little too easily on the nerf button here, because I think more in-depth strategies would have appeared if they gave it enough time, but personally I didn't play a lot of Survivor back then, so I really don't get the anger. But I feel like the rework Legion got made him way less interesting as a character. I think they could have made him much more like Nurse by decreasing his base speed to match with hers. People often say that the current version of Legion's power sucks because it basically just culminates in you wasting your time. First off, yes. Secondly, I think we need to come to terms with what we mean by a waste of time. My friends are trading stock right now, and I tell them I'm doing this. Do you realize the weight of the words you're using? I've wasted 3 weeks filling a watermelon with tequila, okay? Self-deprecation aside, there are a lot of things in Dead by Daylight that waste your time. It's just that there are ones that are way better than finding a safe corner and holding R1 for a second. The pig is a great time-wasting killer, and they turned that into an actual mechanic, and she was released way before Legion. Plus, there are several perks that can extend the game if you need a Zimmer frame to get to the bathroom. Hell, you might have noticed I never mentioned Legion's perks because what the hell is there to say? Discordance is okay, if a bit uninteresting, but Mad Grit and Iron Maiden are offenses to all forms of good sense and design. Mad Grit is so goddamn situational that you literally have no right to use it if you're trying to win. Only a very specific team tries to body block because all of the hip kids are breaking hooks now. That's why everyone simply uses it so that Demogorgon will make their favorite squeaking noise. Iron Maiden is a little bit better in that it can sometimes have an effect on the match. For those who don't know, Iron Maiden briefly exposes survivors that exit lockers while also causing them to scream. I have it on a few killers because it goes well with barbecue and chili, but there are really games where it never triggers because people don't fucking go inside the boxes. I think this is probably a good point to jump into the last bits, and that's how you can go about playing him effectively. Like I said earlier, your strength is in your ability to tackle multiple people at once. The big thing you need to learn is when to break off and chase a new target, and when to try and finish the one on your plate. Usually this judgment can be based on how far away the killer instinct is. If the survivor is sipping on tropical smoothies on the other side of the map, you can probably commit to the dweeb right in front of you. Also, learn who can loop and who can't. If you can pick out vulnerable survivors from a crowd, you should always prioritize that person. If Claudette beelines for the shack every 5 seconds, but Jeff is confused by the simple act of a fast vault, you should let the Claudette bleed and make his rescue her problem. Also remember that you're M1ing every other second of the day, so have the basics down because that's what you're going to need to rely on when everything is said and done. I think that's all I've got to say on Legion, but while I've got your attention, I'm gonna ramble 2 facts off at you. Firstly, I wasn't lying when I said this is gonna be a series, which you should have figured out because there's now 2 of these videos. So I put out a poll on Twitter with the next killers I have in mind. Just note that I already have something prepared for next week, so the winner of this poll will likely be the killer after that. Secondly, while we've got a little bit of time left, anyone watch those Ubisoft trailers? I couldn't stand them. Assassin's Creed Valhalla looks so soulless that they didn't even try to cover up how the person playing the game spammed the same attacks over and over again. Plus, that UI is atrocious. It looks like you're playing with the interface that controls the game for you instead of actually interacting with the game. Far Cry 6 looked really good, the acting was on point and the villain seemed to be operating on a deeper level compared to the other last 2 clowns. It's just a shame that we'll see him like 3 times from the perspective of some random player-created fuckwit that doesn't have any personal flaw to overcome. I know this might attract some crows, but I really could do without this gender option nonsense. I want a character. I will pick the same lame Nord 400 times because I am a consumer and I can't create my own character arc. Hell, you clearly show that you can create a compelling relationship between two people, so why the hell would you want me to experience that from the view of an absolute stranger? The hero can just be female if you want. You don't need to be afraid of it. Just fucking do it so that I have something to actually connect to instead of some unknowable face that shoots people. Okay, have I wasted enough of your time? Phew, where's that watermelon?